Hello, good evening, and welcome to Bars Design Services. My name is Bright Nentumbarajira, right? In partnership with Architect Guide, right? So now this YouTube channel is called Architect Guide, right? So if you're joining us for the first time, please do well to subscribe, like, and also share these videos if it helps you, right? So today in today's video, you're going to learn how to use Enscape, for rendering, for architectural rendering, right? So now, for every aspect of your 3Ds, you're going to render in Archicad, right? So now, we started a 5 day training, and now we are on day five. On day five, whereby we're going to learn how to use um, Enscape to render an Archicad work, right? So now, let's jump right into today's video and see what we have going on there, right? If you're joining us for the first time, please feel free to subscribe to this channel as we'll be doing more of these videos or these trainings for to help more persons. Okay, right. So let's dive right into Archicad, and I'll share my screen right now. Let's go on. So we stopped. So we're going to continue from up the last time, the last class, right? So we did this 3D, we did some Enscape rendering and all that. So now today, before we continue into Enscape again, right? So we're going to add some other features, right? I'll remove all these Enscape materials that I've added already, and we're going to add together. We're going to add some other features on this particular material, and then making it look let's make it look much more realistic in terms of adding a surrounding, right? A fence around it and making it look as if it was a real project you're working on, right? So now let's dive right in. So now this is what we did last time. If you look at this properly, you notice that the trees are floating, right? So now because of the level, because of the levels. Now we're going to correct all these in this video. Okay, so let's dive right in. Okay, so before we go on, let's quickly go to the floor plan and remove all these Enscape materials. Here, we'll go back there in a little while, but for now, let's remove them and then let's see what we have gotten so far, what we can add or what we can actually remove. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit. All right, so this is not highlighting. All right, so I'm having problem highlighting these other ones. Let me leave it and then delete these ones. I can continue that deleting on the 3D. Right, so because the layers, I have not removed some of these layers and all that. Right, so let's go to the 3D and then remove these other two items that are a little bit, yeah. All right, so I believe we're together. Right, so here we go. We are still back to the plain old design we have. Right, so now let's add some fence to this building. Let's go back to the wall tool, and then let's go to the floor plan, the ground floor plan, and then do an unmeasured. We're going to work on an unmeasured fence right around the particular building. This building we're working on. Right, so now let's do that quickly, and then we take the measurement of the fence, the height as 2,700. All right, so from ground level, so that's okay. All right, so let me draw this first one out. Let me come here and do this all the way down here. Let me take it in a little bit. Yes. All right. So let me go to the section. Like I said earlier yesterday, so you can render, you can work on your 3D from any aspect of your project, either from the floor plan, either from the section, either from the 3D, either from the elevation aspect, right? You actually do these things. All right. So let me. So what happens is floating because of the level. So I'm going to drag it down to our normal height, 450. So that's going to be like minus 450, right? So minus 450 is what you work from, right? So let's proceed, and then I'll copy this using alternative, and I'll continue drawing my walls. Draw another one. here. Right, so let me make it like a site whereby it's not slanting. Okay, let's see what we've done so far. Okay, so this is the result of what we did. Right, so it's still good, it's still okay, still okay. So let's make it much more covered. Right, so let me drag it up a little bit, take it down here. Okay, so we are on it. Right, so let's keep on. Let's go back again and see how it looks like. All right, so this is what we have here. So we can proceed with doing other things right on this site. So now the other thing we're going to do now is to next thing we're going to do now is to work on extending the length of these downwards. Right, it is the length of these. Let's leave this one here, and let's add another. Let's say something else here, like a walkthrough. Okay, so something like this at the center point of the space. You can actually just offset the edge, take it out a bit. So now let's do an offset to this point here. Okay, let's do a chamfer of 600, or let's say 600, yeah, 900. All right, so we'll do the same thing for this point, 900. The same thing for the. Okay, let's do this point, 900. This other point, and we make it 900, right? So now we're trying to work on our 3D. That's now the best thing about when you work with Archicad to Enscape, right? So now one thing is very important, right? Is that some of the libraries that Archicad has is a little bit not that realistic when you take them to Enscape. So now the best thing is want to do now is to save every other exterior object or even interior object for interior designers. You now be able to put them into your design or your project or your space on the Enscape panel. Okay, on the Enscape, when you open Enscape, you now place those materials and those libraries from Enscape, pick Enscape tools and place them in. So that becomes much more better and is much more a little bit more. It's more realistic than the one that I think that comes with, right? It's not unless you are now trying to now sort out materials from PBRO materials and then another materials to now make it much more realistic. We're going to talk about that. You see the links of those sites where you can get Enscape materials on the draw in the description below after we're done with this live training. Okay, so let's continue from where we stopped. Right, so now here we have, let's look at what it looks like on the 3D. Okay, this is what it looks like. Right, so now for this wall it's too white, so let's change the color of this wall a little bit, so we can actually differentiate between the sky, the Archicad sky, and then the wall we have. So let's pick a color that can give us something different. Let's highlight all of them. And then stucco, let's see, stucco is okay. Alright, stucco is okay. Alright, so let's make use of this stucco. And then the next thing we're going to do is to change these colors of these materials here for the step. Alright, so we're going to change the color of the materials for this step. Alright, so highlight for both, and then we use tile. We used it last time, we used tile 60. Okay, and then for these we used paint sand beige. Alright, so let's do that, and then we are good to go. Alright, so we're doing a generic design here, so we didn't add any sophistications at any point. Okay, so this is what we have. Alright, so now let's go down to Enscape and see what you have on Enscape. Alright, so let's see what view is much more better for us. Either this, okay, let's look at this view actually. This view is very good. Right, so now let's go down to Enscape. So now I'll start my Enscape tool here. We're on this panel where we see and start Enscape. Right, so now if you have not installed Enscape, right, we don't have Enscape installed. What I want you to do, we'll go back and install Enscape, and then you come and open Archicad, and then you will see that plugin, because Enscape is a plugin, right? So you just install, and then you come and select the plugin on Archicad, right? Then you can actually now see the Enscape toolbar you're working with. All right, so now let's proceed. Let's proceed down to, let's open our Enscape and see what you have to do on our Enscape. Right, so now on this Enscape, now what we're going to do now on Enscape is we're going to be adding, right, the Enscape is opening. While it's opening, let me just discuss a little bit. So now we're going to be adding lights to our 3D. We're going to bring in an HDR image, right, to add to our Enscape. Instead of using the Enscape sky, but let's use an HDR image. And then we're going to add some exterior materials like chairs, flowers, shrubs, and flower pots, right? So now to make the exterior look much more inviting, right? So now you can actually now do that. You can actually replicate that on your own self, okay? So the Enscape is still opening. While it's still doing that, let me view my a full screen so that you can actually see the Enscape that I'm working with now, because Enscape is going to be pinned down to the Archicad because we're together, right? So now just give me some minutes. Let me share my screen, the entire screen as a whole. All right. Okay. So now here we go. We have this displayed here. This is Archicad, right? Now and then the Escape is opening. Okay. So while that is opening, like I told you earlier, so yeah, that's what you're going to do at this point. So just stay tuned, and if you have not subscribed yet, please do it to subscribe, and then try watching this video to the end. Right. At the end, we're going to talk about the how to get free Enscape materials, right? Free Enscape materials that makes your rendering much more realistic. Okay, so let's go on. Enscape is still opening, so give us a few minutes. So please, you can actually comment in the comment section below, right? So for any part of this training that has helped you so well, so probably there were some difficulties that you encountered during this training, right? I would like to know right now, and the next time we're going to do something like this in the next cohort, right? I would now make those corrections, right? So most likely we'll start, and then we made some mistakes, and then we're correcting our mistakes. That is the beauty about what about growing up, right? About growing up, right? So now this is what it looks like. I believe you can see my screen. So this is Enscape, right? So now this is the scene I just added here. Right, so now site context, no. Okay, so now if you when you come into Enscape, the first things you're going to want to look out is the first thing is you want to do your settings. Go to your settings, go to your settings tab, and then click on preferences. Right, you want to ensure that this pin right here, this window, this pin Enscape window on top of the host application is ticked. Right, so now when it's ticked, let's go back, and then the next thing you want to do is to do a what's it called? There's this name for it. Render safe. Okay, yeah, safe frame, like a safe frame. Like so you want to click on the safe frame. Now it gives you the ability to now a like a space while you want to do your rendering, right? So now the next thing you want to do now is to select a view, and then we save that view on our Enscape so that at any time we can just click on it and go back to that particular view to see the changes we have made so far. Right, so now let's go zoom out, zoom in a little bit, and see which view is actually best for us to use. Okay, so this is good, this is okay. Right, so what I want to do now is I'll go down to view management, right? View management on the screen, right? And then I'll click on create view. Right, so I want to save this view currently. So create view, right? And I'll now name it tutorial. Okay, training. Right, let's say training. Right, so training view. All right, so then once you create it, you click on create. Right, so now what that does, let me show you what it does right here. So what this does is that by any mistake I can zoom off anyway, or I go out to any other points, in this building, right? With a click of a button, I just click on this training view, right? The training view I have right here, and then it just go back to that particular um, view that we have, right, on the Archicad and the Enscape, right? So it takes us back to that particular point, making it easier for us to. Sorry for that, please. Sorry for that, please. The my setup went off. All right, so sorry for that mistake. Okay, so we have done that, and then we can actually keep on editing. I just want to now reduce the size of this so I can see my Archicad framework that I'm working with. Right, so I'll reduce it a little bit to the right. Right, so please stay tuned. Right, so we're still on Archicad. All right, so I reduce it down a little bit so that I can actually work on something. So if you look at this view very well, you see that this my rooftop underneath my ceiling is still open. So I have to go back to Archicad and then I'll fix that, and then we can continue rendering on the Enscape. All right, so it will not give us a bad look at the end of the video. All right, so for me to fix that, I will go back to my section. I'll click on section, and then I would click on my suspended, click on it, and I'll double click on Control D, and then Control again to drag a copy. So I'll drag a copy of this and I place it above this layer. Now is to reduce the thickness of this slab to, sorry, not this one, from 150 to, let's say, 10, and then OK. Alright, so now it's 10. So I'll drag it up and then take it up to the ceiling top here. That's 2700. Let me use 2700 and OK. Alright, so this is what I have. So let me go to the 3D. Added. Alright, so now it has been added to, yes, it has been added to our view, and that is good. Right, so now let's change the material underneath, right? The color of the paint of the material underneath. As we go to the settings, select the material and go to the settings, and then under highlight this bottom part and then click on make use of ceramic porcelain. Right, so let's go for ceramic porcelain. Okay, ceramic porcelain, and then you click on OK, right? So OK, and then now we are done with that, right? So we can now continue with our renderings. So now just click on this part of it. Right, okay, it went off. I closed it entirely, completely. Okay, so here we are. So it has been affected. If you look at our view, right, you see that it is showing the white on it. Right, so let's go back to view management and then click on that particular view. Take us back to our default view that we selected, we set. Right, so it makes it easier for you to go back and forth again. So let's close this and then continue working. So now the first thing we want to do now is to edit some materials, right? So now let me go back to Archicad. Let me go back to Archicad and see if it is possible for me to change the settings of my Archicad settings, right? For my thickness of my green. Okay, let me click here. All right, so let me go to floor plan and selection. No, it's floor plan and selection, and I will see what I can make changes to. Okay, it's grass. Okay, I guess the change is going to make it. All right, so let's go down to Enscape again. So what I want to do now is to select some materials. I want to change the the paint, right? So probably peradventure you didn't like the material, the paint you choose on Archicad, right? So now you can actually still change, make some of those changes on Enscape, right? So now let's do that quickly, and then you see how it works. Right, so let me expand this window so you can see the whole setup. The settings are lighted here. No, no, it is not here. Let me bring it down a little bit. Sorry for that back and forth. Right, so now what we want to do now, we have this Enscape tool selected here. Right, we have this Enscape tools here. So now we're going to click on um, what's this called again? Material selection. And we're going to click on this Enscape material editor. Enscape material editor. Right, let's click on it. You click on it to open Enscape material editor now. So you see different materials, Enscape material editors. Right. So now for you to select a particular material here, right, you have to know the name of the material. So what you want to do now after opening the Enscape material editor, right, what you do is to go to click on Archicad, and then you want to select change the material for the fence. Okay, we just did a plain basic fence, no design at all. Right, so we'll click on the fence material and then go to the material settings and then check the names. The name of this material is Tuco Yellow Rough. Okay, so then you click on OK, and then you come back here to your material Enscape material editor, and you look for Stucco. Click on Stucco, right? Stucco Rough, Yellow Rough, right? So now this is what you do. So now when you get to this point, you select these three dots, the three dots here, right? And then you click on replace with Enscape material. So what you want to do is to replace it. Right? If you're not replacing it, you can actually just edit the texture of the material on this particular toolbar albedo, where you can actually import a material from your material library from exterior documents, or you can just change image fade and then add texture, roughness, and all that. But they what you want to do is to replace with Enscape material. So now we click on replace. Right. So now we now have a selection of drop down of Enscape material that you can actually replace it with. Right. Okay. So we want to make use of. I think we can make use of brick. Let's make use of something. Let's see, brick 11. Okay, let's use brick 11. So it will load. Once you click on the material you want to select, it will now load up. If you see this yellow loading signs, it will load up and then it will act quickly. And then you now click on replace, or you can just click on replace quickly immediately, and then let's see what happens. Right, so it just automatically change. Right, so now this it works with the internet connection. Right, so if you don't have an internet connection, please find a way to get one while you're doing this now, because it's loading up. Except you have these materials, these libraries and Escape libraries in your system, right? So like an so you can easily get them without you looking going back and forth and all that. So it becomes easier, right? So now what happened? It has selected, right? So no, it didn't select. Let's try that again. It has gone off. Okay, yeah, it did select. All right, so it's selected, right? So we are done with that. So we can still add some other changes, probably the amount, reduce amount, or roughness, or metallic, or specular. All right, so those are not needed now. All right, so let's reduce specular to, hold on. All right, so that's okay. So the next material we want to make changes to is going to be the the paint, the overall the 60% paint for the particular for the building wall, right? So now let's go and check for the material name, right? So let's go to Archicad, click on Archicad, right, and then select any part of the wall that you want to use as a reference, right? So let me select this, then I'll go to the material settings, right? And then this material is a paint sand beige, right? Paint sand beige. So we can cancel that out. So we can come back to this Enscape, and then what you want to do now is paint sand beige, right? So paint, type paint, or we can just go down to sand beige. So this is sand beige. So what we want to do is to let's change the material, replace with Enscape material. Like I said, you can change the color of this paint, right? See, while leaving it as a paint sand beige, when you change the color of the paint, let's replace the material, right? So you can actually shift them out so you can see the changes you're making. So we want to look at plaster. Let's see. Is it plaster? Okay, plaster. Right, so this is the plaster we have. Let me see if we have a paint. Okay, there's no paint materials outrightly. Let's see which can be okay for it. This is plaster stucco. Let's see this plaster stucco. Oh, it's same thing with the material. So plaster clay, plaster stucco. Let's check these and see how this looks. So it will load up and then it will actually just give us a preview on this particular part here. We can actually select. Right, so just see how it looks like. Okay, so now this is how it's looking like. So let me move these a little bit. Okay, we still have this. We still have this working here. So let's click on. Let's click on replace. Let's replace it first. While we continue to the other parts of it, we can continue. All right. So please stay tuned. You can actually subscribe this channel, right, and then to help more persons to get to understand how to use these tools. Okay. So I'm replacing that. Right, so if you have a network issue, right, it might take a little bit longer. But if the network is very fast, right, it will take a long time for it changes all these materials and then it just moves once, and it like that. Right, so now this is what it's giving us. Right, so now it looks okay. Looks okay for our project that we're working on. So let's make use of that, and then we can see what to do here. Let's see the color of this particular item. Alright, so you can change the color if you want to. Right, we already have a stucco plaster, but you can actually change the color of the stucco plaster or make it a gray, much more darker gray. And this is too dark. Right, no, Control Z. Right, so now we can't actually paint the whole of our building as dark as that. Right, so can't. Right, so I'll make it of something lighter to match. Minimize that. Let's go back to this and let's make use of this lighter gray, lighter gray. Okay, all right, so the lighter gray. Okay, so I believe you can hear me for those of us that are online. So even for those of us that are in class, please indicate comments in the comment section to let me know um, how this tutorial is helping you. And if there's any question, please feel free to ask. Okay, please feel free to ask as we proceed. Right. So now let's continue with our design, with our material selection. Right, so now the next part of this is for us to now work on the color of the door. Right. So now let's see for the palette material. Or let's see the glass. We're going to leave this as wood. We're going to leave this glass as wood. Right, so let's move down to the next part, which is to add green, right, shrub, probably a shrub or something else. We're going to click on asset library. The first part is Enscape material library, which has to do with surfaces, paints, and all that. Then the next part we're going to work on is the asset library. Okay, assets. So click on library, so it opens up the Enscape library where you have objects, people, grass, trees, birds, lights, and other items. The Enscape asset library. So if you can actually have a custom asset, you are bringing them, importing them from the folder in your system, right? But now we're using Enscape asset. Now it's now connected to the internet. Like I said, that is why it is taking a little bit of time for us to load the images and all that. Okay, so let's click on the accent lighting. All right, so for the lighting, so we're looking at the kind of light we want to make use of. All right, so for every of these items you are selecting, right? Notice one thing: did these assets, this Enscape assets in Enscape, right? So you can actually place the materials, this asset on Archicad, and then you can edit the width, the length, the add some other touching items from Archicad, and then to begin to affect it to automatically take effect on the Enscape menu. Okay, while making the changes down on the Archicad, it's taking effect on the Enscape. So now let's select a particular wall mounted cone. Let's look for a cone and see which is better for us to make use of. Okay. Right, so let's make use of this particular cone here. So if you want to now apply this particular material on Enscape on Archicad, right? So now this is what you're going to do. And you're going to do this whereby you're going to double click on this material, this asset you want to select, double click on it, right? So it will open up for you to now post. Right. So now what you now do is to look for a particular place. Let's click on this wall, right, where we want it to be placed. Right. So click here. Right, so now what you do is to just click place the material, the particular lighting on that surface. Or let's click this one to see which one is better for us, this particular wall lamp. Let's click this and then let's place it on that same particular position. Yep. Right, so look at Archicad and see which one is better for us to make use of. Okay, before we now begin to multiply them, duplicate. Right, so let's close this particular window. Right now, what we want to do now is to set up the light. Set up the light. We're going to add light from Archicad and we're going to set it up to see how it looks like. So now, for now, we're going to close this, the Enscape library tool. Right. So let's zoom in a little bit to Archicad. Right. So now this is how it looks like. For every material, every asset you add, it's going to look yellow on Archicad, but then on Enscape, it becomes much more render realistic. Okay. So this is how it looks like. So now we're going to go to floor plan and see where it's placed. Right. So now this is how it's looking like. So now we're going to rotate. Let me rotate this. Control E. I press Control E. I click on it and then rotate it outward. Right. So I'll drag and I'll drop by the side of this wall. Right. Click on this and I click on Control E and I rotate this side. Okay. All right, so let me remove my true line width. Yes, I want to see the exact thing I'm working with. All right, so let's drag this out and then drag this in here. So, right, which of these two lightings will you want us to use? Let's see. All right, so which of these will be better? Let's see. You can make use of this one, right? Let's make use of this one for the whole of this class. Okay, so let's make use of the second wall cone we added. Remove these. We're able to drag it. Okay, let's drag it on the floor plan, and then let's centralize it in between the window and the edge of the wall. Right. So now that is okay. Now we're going to look for material. We're going to look for the light. We're going to add light inside that particular screen because if I open the Enscape library now, there's not going to be light emitted from this particular light bulb. Right. So then we're going to add the light before now begin to duplicate around our building. Okay. So let's go down. So now this is the lamp tool, right? Click on the lamp tool here. So double click on Archicad, the lamp tool, and then it opens up these settings for you, right? So you would want to check out different um, lighting source, right? So light source, let's see. Interior lamps, street lamps, hold on. So let's look at visualization. Okay. So light sources. Let's see. I have here. So nope, this is not what I'm looking for. Um, okay. The general light source. This is the general light source. This is not what I'm looking for. Right. Okay. Give me a minute to see that particular material here. Light source. Nope. 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 Alright, so let me go back again. I think I'm missing points. Okay. Okay, so this is not what I'm looking for. Let's see objects. If there are materials like that in objects. So I double click on it to select. Alright, so basic library. Okay. It's supposed to show this. Let me go back to this one. This is where it's supposed to show. Probably I'm not checking correctly. Alright, so general light source. Okay, let me see what it has installed. Perhaps I'm supposed to have multiple options of lights to select. Okay, so let me see if I can work with one of these visual visibility lights. Let's see. Okay, let's see if we can work with one of these and then we can actually place them on our image. So place the light here, the light source here. Alright, so let me open my 3D and see where the light is placed. Alright, so now for to help us with our editing, right, we're going to open our Enscape again, right, and then see the light we have selected and then how to now begin to minimize or reduce the intensity. Right, so now the next thing we want to do is to reduce the intensity of the light. Okay, so just quickly stay with us as we proceed. Minimize from here on. Okay, so I will not have to just wait this long. All right, so give us some few minutes. So now, when it comes to rendering on Archicad plus Enscape, right? It is very crucial that you take your time. You take your time to begin to select. Want to observe real life materials like for glass, the shininess of glass, the glossiness of a tile, right? The sleekness of materials, right? And then you understand real life, and it gives you the ability to now begin to edit those settings, right, to suit what you have seen. Right, so now, what makes it much more interesting is when you're able to replicate what you are seeing on the natural, and you're making it, placing it into this rendering process, right? You see that your rendering becomes much more realistic. And then again, what you're focusing on when you do escape rendering is there are three. I think there are three major things you focus on. Number one is the materials. Material selection is very much important. The material you're selecting is very much important. Right. Number two is the lighting source, your light positioning, your light, how you position your light on your object, right, on your scene. And number three is the camera position, right? So how you position your camera. Remember, if you just look at it as where you're taking a photo shoot with a what's it called, a Canon camera, and then you have a tripod, right? So look at how you can stand and take that tripod shot, and then how you're looking at it from the top with a drone. Let's just try to imagine how these things work. So now, when you're able to set those three things, right, you can actually do a lot more with your tool. So now look at how our light is looking here. Oh, forgive me, my bad. All right, so I will zoom in a little bit to our light we just added. Right, so this is how our light is looking like on the tree, on the Enscape. Right, so this is a little bit okay. This is a little bit okay. So we want to, let's see how it looks like again. So just give us a minute. I believe you're with us. So please feel free to comment as we proceed. All right, so this is okay. This is very good. All right, so let me go back to Archicad and continue editing. All right, so I can actually reduce the width of these. So there's a way I can actually set up these Archicad plus Enscape, that if I'm moving my Archicad, the Enscape is going to be moving together. So as I'm editing here, I'm editing, the Enscape does the same thing automatically, right? So, but I don't want to do that because of the fact that I want to see these things differently. So for now, right, so that's what I just want to do now. So I just want to see differently. So um, if not, it's very, very easy for me to just, you know, set it up. So let's see if we can actually reduce I want to reduce the width of my light bulb and see the effects, okay, on Enscape. All right, so this is good. So I'll go to my ground floor and I'll place it directly above, on top of my light material, right, on top of the raw material. Okay, so that is good. Let me go back to my 3D and see. Okay, just give me a minute, it will load up. All right, so this is how it's looking like on our Archicad. So now what we can actually do, we can actually increase the intensity of this light, and then we can actually change the color of the light, make it a cool or warm light depending on the time of the day. And even if you're doing an interior design, right, you can actually do that with respect to the color palette you have in your interior space, right? So this is good for now. So let's last we're going to select this particular lighting material, and then we're going to increase the intensity a little bit, right? So, and then we now duplicate, we group it together, we group the lights with the material, the scone, and then we duplicate that particular material. All right, so let's see lighting settings, or lighting best quality, transparent, so fastest, best quality. So let's see amount of reduction. Okay, um, okay, go down, go down, go down, go down. Let's see, it's not visible here. I can't see that particular selection. 3D. Okay, so this is increasing to fastest. This intensify and reduction starts, reduction ends. Okay, so this is actually great. So these are different aspects of how we can do light, right? So this is actually good. So let's leave it that way, and then we continue for the sake of time. We are behind time, very very much behind time. All right, so let's zoom out a little bit. All right, and then we can select the materials. Now I've selected the materials and I'll group. So just click on Ctrl G to group the materials together, and then we can actually duplicate around other places whereby we need this particular lighting on the fence wall, on our building walls. Okay, so and then Control G to group it. Right. So now let's go to the floor plan. So when we go to the floor plan, we can actually now move this item around, right, as a group. Control D, and then Control to drag a copy, and then Control alternative to drag multiple copies. Right. So I'll do multiple copies, and I'll drag it, and I'll drop at several points, and I'll now rotate the touch the orientation. Right. So let me drag this from here. I'll centralize it here. Only the place where I'm going to do our rendering. Okay, so that's where I'm going to place this particular light bulb. Let me place it here. I'll come back and work on that again. Right. So let's place this on our walls, on the exterior defense wall. Right. So then I'll go down here. Right, at some intervals, right? I'm not measuring my distance between this light bulb, but then ordinarily that is supposed to measure accordingly. So because of time, we just quickly drop the light at several places. Right, those are okay. Right, so and then let's drop it at the back here where you can actually see um, from this other end. Now let me just drop this one here, and I click escape. Right, so I want to first of all rotate these. Control E. Then rotate it down here. All right, so D, take it down here, and then move it up to this particular point, and I rotate. Control E to rotate, and then I drag it up to this edge, and I Control D, and I do that for multiple image. Control D, then Control plus alternative to drag multiple copies. Okay, so I'll take it 1, 2, and then 3. Right, so that's okay. Let's go to our 3D and see what it looks like versus our Enscape material. Alright, so you see how it's looking like on the 3D. Alright, so because of time, I'm going to leave it that way because if you look at the height, the height of the light on the fence is a little bit higher, right? So, but then I would leave it that way. So because so I can move to that. And so I believe we've gotten the settings and how to merge these two together, right? So I'll go to my view management on Enscape, and let's see our view, training view, and let's see how it looks like. Okay, so this lightly okay. So we would go down to adding some greens, some green area, some vegetation, and then we add a chair and some sitters right on these trees. Now let's go back to our assets, like Enscape assets. So click on it, and your asset library opens. Right, so once you click on it, the asset library opens. I believe you can see my screen. Please, if you don't see it, just give me comments down below on the comment section. I can see that, and I'll make the changes where needed. All right, so it's opening up asset library. So let's click on that. All right, so now here we want to do is to place our green. Want to place a chair on the 3D. Want to place a human, right? Probably someone sitting down and all that on the seat. Right, so Enscape setup. Like I said, I'll click on. Oh, I mistakenly opened it to the big. So let me minimize this button, restore. All right, so it's not supposed to be as big as that, right? So let's continue. Let's continue. Okay, so I'll go to place vegetation now. First, I'll be looking for potted plants. Potted plants. Okay, let me look for let me look for vegetation first. Let me use this one, this particular bush, yeah, and then I would Let's click here. So we've placed that on 3D. Right, so I'll go back and set it up again on Archicad, and then we will see how it looks like. Right, so let me select another material, another shape. Okay, let's use this one. I'm gonna place it somewhere here again. Alright, so let me place it there. Okay, I'll go back and make the changes afterwards. I'll just select and pick and drop them on the 3D window. Okay. Right, let me select a chair, an outdoor sitting for pose of this video so we can make these changes. Alright, so I'm just going to select one of these, then we can make use of that on the exterior. Let me make use of this, and I'll place it somewhere on this point. Right, so let's select a table. Right, so let me select a table. Right, something that matches the one we selected earlier. Right, a coffee table. Alright, so let's go down. Okay, let me make sure of this. Alright, so let me make sure of this. Place it here. Alright, so that is okay. So I'll look for a okay, let me stop here for now, and I'll come back and look at the fact that it's floating, right? These materials are floating. So what I want to do now is to go to the section part of my view, and then I'll extend. Let me go back and extend my section line. Okay, let me view backwards and see what is going on there, so I can actually take them down. Control M to mirror my section. Okay, so open. Okay. All right, so my section is open. So what I want to do now is to drag these items and bring them down onto D. I'll bring them down to the bottom part here. Okay, so now that is placed on my exterior floor surface, right? So it becomes much more better. So let's look at how it looks here. All right, so it's placed on top of it, right, making it look like if it's connected to the base. Okay, so yeah, that's all. So let's now duplicate some of these materials. For this one, it's too big, so I'll take it to the back here. Yep, so I'll take it to the back there, and I'll take one here, duplicate, drag a copy, and then I will take it this way. Right, so for this rub, I want to take it down. So I'm not particularly looking out for many material like that. But what you want to do is, we're already out of time. This is 10 a.m. from the Nigerian time, right? So I don't know where you're watching from. So so when you're doing yours, right, you're doing your own particular. When you do it, right, so quickly you can actually just send it in to this video, so you can see, you can compare what you've done and see, okay, see how far you've gotten better with what you've done. So now for the purpose of this video, we're just going to do this and then round up this session for now, okay? And then if you want, you can actually see more of this content or see more of these by just texting or commenting on any of my videos, and then I'll quickly respond to you by creating something that will give you a solution to that problem you're facing. All right, so I'll take this out from here, these two. All right, so let me take it out from here first. Control D. is somehow to. All right, so I'll take this one down. All right, so now although this position I'm placing Control E, this position I'm putting in is not the very best position at all, but I'm just adding something so that you can actually see how we add and we can actually edit some of these items we add to our 3D to make it much more realistic, right? So no, not saving, Control D. Let me duplicate, drag, multiple copy. All right, so I'll just place this particular item, drag multiple copies, and then I'll drag, place them along this particular line. All right, so for now, let's hold on with that particular point right there. So let's look at what we have done so far and see how it looks like on our Enscape library. Okay, so looking at this, we can see that we have something good going on here. So let me look. Let's go to HDRI Haven. Remember, I talked about the fact that we can actually select some materials from the sky, right? So let's look at HDRI Haven. Right, so here you can actually download some sky render, right, that comes with some background images. Now from here you can actually see outdoor, you can actually see indoor, you can actually see studio, sunrise, and all that. These are loads of materials. Now what I'll do now is to download them. I'll download just one of it, and then you can go here, right, polyhaven.com, right, to now download any of these materials. Right, so what I want to do is to download the one that comes with modern evening streets. Let me download down for because of time. Just click on it and then download, right? So most of them is usually a bit high. So download. Okay, so this is coming up with price.